Hello, my friends. This is Alex with Health Pet Tips, and today is the Promise Day. In the earlier video on the ultimate source of all your pet's issues, I promised that I would give you the tools to allow you to change your belief system, which is the governing principle that creates everything you see in your world. First, we're going to summarize, and I do have notes, so I don't want to forget anything. So, your state of being is collapsing the vibrating field into the world that you perceive on a moment-to-moment basis. This state of being, also known as your belief system, is the true governing principle, and that is the thing that we have to change. Because what you see is entirely governed by the amygdala in your brain, which only allows you to see that which you are familiar with, meaning that which you already believe, that which is expected, that which is previously experienced, that which has somehow been imprinted onto your subconscious. So it really is all just a program that can be rewritten, and that's what we're gonna start to learn how to do today. You can imagine yourself as the sun. That is your state of being, who you are. You are emanating the rays. These rays are falling onto a mirror. The picture that you see in a mirror, you think is your 3D world that is separate from you. And the first thing that has to happen is that you have to understand that it is you. It is entirely your reflection. So if you are trying to change a circumstance, so one circumstance into another circumstance, but you're only looking in the mirror, you're only trying to do it there, and you're not paying attention to the sun that is emanating this picture, then at best you're only going to get partial results. Usually, our state of awakening follows a pathway, in a sense that in the beginning, we think that things just happen to us, and we seek for someone to take full control. So when it comes to our animal health, usually the first help that we seek is conventional medicine, right? Most of us who end up in the alternative medicine have ended up there because we have been deeply disappointed by what has happened on a conventional side, right? So the first step is to see that, no, I cannot give full control to anyone. Like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a way of no harm. So we end up on the alternative medicine route. However, even that has to be overcome, because sooner or later, you're going to run into a situation where even the modality that has always worked all of a sudden doesn't. Now, why would that be? Well, it is because it is time for you to take the next step. And that next step is to become the magical being that you actually have been from the beginning. So, what does that mean? Your world that you see, including your animals, is just a feedback system to show you who you are at this moment of time. Therefore, who are you believing yourself to be that would allow your reality to collapse into your animal appearing to be sick? This is the first thing that you have to deeply look into yourself, right? So, are you believing that you only have purpose in this world if you're someone's caretaker? Do you believe that animals of a certain species can only live for so long? Do you believe that animals, when they reach certain age, they have to start getting sick? What do you believe, right? Do you see how every one of these beliefs would end up creating some kind of a situation in which your animal is not well? Now, first let me say that the thing that you're going to change, what this tool we are talking about today, is really your inner talk. Your inner conversation is the emanating force. That is what is projecting your world. So, when you're changing your inner conversation, you have to speak to yourself from the time and place of everything being fine. So, for example, if you are walking around and saying, oh, my animal is healthy, my animal is healthy, he's fully healed, he's better, or she doesn't have this problem anymore, you are actually still focusing on the problem. Do you see that? Your awareness is still with your animal not being well, because honestly, if you were existing in a state of being in which your animal is fine, would you be walking around and saying these things to yourself? Would you be saying, my animal no longer has a problem? No. You wouldn't even remember. You wouldn't even think. It wouldn't even cross your mind that there is a problem. That is the state of being we have to achieve. So, what should this inner conversation consist of? Hear the difference between my dog is healthy now and I always have healthy dogs. Do you see the difference? How the first statement is actually implying that something is wrong and now I'm fixing it, right? In the other statement, it's just across the board. This is how it is. My animals are always healthy. My dogs, my cats, my horses, whatever, are always healthy. Is it possible, and this is true in many, many times, that your unconscious or subconscious is actually projecting your animal to show you the things that are wrong with your own state of health and that you are refusing to look at? So what would be the term? How do we overcome that, right? It would be by saying, there is nothing wrong with me. But you know, when something is truly wrong in this moment in time, to jump from that state of being to the state of being there is nothing wrong may be too big of a jump. And you may become really, really triggered. And you may just throw everything away and run back to the conventional veterinarian of all things, right? So when you are faced with a situation that you cannot immediately accept the opposite, so if you cannot say there is nothing wrong with me and there is never anything wrong with my animals, then you have to change that statement into a question. Your brain, your reasoning mind, will never argue with a question. So if I say, what if there is nothing wrong with me? No one's going to argue with that, right? You're just posing a question. So pose a question. What if there's nothing wrong with me? What if my animals are always the healthiest and longest living? Do you hear that? Or, isn't it wonderful that I always have happy, healthy animals? Isn't it wonderful that I have so much joy within me that it spills out and gets pushed out of me, projecting itself into these beautiful animals that bring me nothing but joy? We have to change that inner talk, right? But remember, you are the sun. You are emanating the rays onto the mirror. Do not be trying to change one picture in a mirror to a different picture in a mirror, right? Look at the sun. Look at that state of being. Look at that belief system that is emanating. Change that. So speak in general terms and speak to yourself all the time. We cannot have, this is by the way, homeopathic principle. And homeopathic remedy can be anything that follows this principle. Therefore, this is actually lawful and logical. You cannot have two similar conflicting thoughts at the same time. So, if your inner talk currently is saying, gosh, you know, all my dogs get cancer, But you are saying to yourself consciously, whether within or whether out loud, how wonderful that I always have happy, healthy animals. You cannot have those same thoughts at the same time. So override the same way your thoughts entered and became solidified within you through repetition, through influences, because really our systems are so easily programmable, it's laughable. In the same way, you're going to do it now, but on your terms. So, to summarize, you are the sun. Your animals are a reflection in the mirror that your rays project. Whatever you see, ask yourself, who am I and what do I believe for this kind of a situation to be projecting to me to see? Find the opposite statement. Make sure it's a general one. Make sure it is not focused on a circumstance, because circumstances do not matter. And then change that. The time lag that we perceive is false. The moment you fully succeed in changing your state, everything you see will change. And don't be afraid. Remember that the fear is the only thing to be afraid of, so don't be afraid. I know that part of us is always afraid of our animals passing. We are actually afraid of the sadness. Think of it this way. Animal comes out of your heart and projects itself onto the mirror of your consciousness. When that projection is done, when you have learned, seen, experienced what you need to experience, your animal will go back to your heart where it belongs and always will be. With that said, I hope you find this video useful. Have an absolutely wonderful